In this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. First of all, do you work or are you a student?
Currently, I'm a student at university, and I just got my bachelor's degree a few days ago. I'm going to attend my graduation ceremony next week.
Now I'd like to talk to you about the topic of dreams and ambitions. What was your childhood dream?
Actually, when I was a child, I wanted to become a successful engineer because I'm a technology nerd. So I wanted to use my professional knowledge to do some innovation and create some useful appliances for people.
Are you the kind of person who sticks to their dreams?
Yes, because when I entered my university, I chose the mechanical engineer because I just stick to my children's dream. I want to through that major to achieve my career targets.
What's your dream job?
As I mentioned before, I'd like to become a mechanical engineer because I'd like to use my knowledge to create some valuable appliances for people's lives.
Do you think you are an ambitious person?
Yes. I would say since I'm a student in primary school, I kept studying hard and had the desire to get a higher grade. So I'd like to use that method to be an extraordinary people.
Now I'm going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Before you talk, you'll have some time to think about what you're going to say. You can make some notes if you wish. The topic that I'd like you to talk about is to describe a person who inspired you to do something interesting. I just sent it in the chat. Can you see it? All right. Remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes to talk, so don't worry if I stop you. Can you start speaking now, please?
Okay. When it comes to the person inspired me, I'd like to talk about my grandpa. My grandpa is a retired engineer, and he is professional in his major. And because he is already retired, so he doesn't need to pay more time on his work. But he still stick to improve his professional knowledge, and he read some more books. And when I'm in my childhood, my grandpa helped me a lot on my study and also improved my interest on mechanical engineer, which helped me set the target to be a mechanical engineer in the future. As for the thing he inspired me, I think the most obvious reason is that he's a person who stick to his dream and never gives up. So every time I face the difficulties or I need to through the barrier, I'd think about what my grandpa taught me.
Thank you. Now I'd like to talk to you a little bit more generally about the topic of role models and looking up to people. What types of qualities do you think make someone a good role model?
Sorry, you mean?
Like, what are the personal characteristics that make someone a good role model, someone to look up to? What kind of, like, personality?
Generally, I think the first thing is the sorry, let me think. I want to say people mustn't lie to others. They should keep telling the truth.
Can you think of a person
that's the basic.
Can you think of a person who's very famous for that in China, for being honest and for telling the truth?
I think majority of people in China tell the truth. The most famous, maybe some maybe teachers, because they are expected to set a good example for their students.
What kinds of celebrities or famous people are usually looked up to, are usually role models in China?
Based on my observation, people always hope celebrities can set a good example for kids and young people. For example, they should show respect to others, and also maybe they should do some donations to help the weak people who need help.
Thank you very much. That is the end of the speaking. So good job. Let me share my screen and we'll talk about it. So all of your skills are kind of around 6 and 5. So your vocab is probably your strongest. So there's like lots of good specific vocabulary that you use. So that's good. Same thing, grammar is pretty okay. It's like mostly accurate. There's limited complexity, but it's mostly accurate. The issue is probably your fluency and your pronunciation. So this could be like a 5 or 6, because especially like in part 3, there's like lots of pauses and uhs and ums, and it needs to have like some longer, more detailed answers in part 1 and in part 3 and in part 2. Just a little bit more detail, a little bit longer, and a little bit faster. If you can just talk like even just a little bit faster, just 5 or 10% faster, then you can definitely get this up to a 6. Pronunciation is okay. It's like mostly clear. Some words hard to understand. But the problem here is that it's like the way that you say, again, same thing, could be 5 or 6. The way that you say the words, it's almost like they sound like you almost are reading them from a paper. It sounds like, I know you're not, but it sounds like that. Like you say them very clearly like that, but that's not how we speak in English, right? So like instead, we don't say like I'm going to, right? In English, no one says I'm going to, but people say I'm gonna attend, I'm gonna, right? So we don't say going to. So if you always read English like the way it's written, then you always pronounce it in kind of like an unnatural way, as opposed to gonna, which is very natural. So your English ends up sounding very unnatural because you just say it like it's written on a page. So try to avoid doing too much reading and listening at the same time, or like speaking and listening and reading at the same time.
Okay.
Because you want to say it like in a more natural way. So probably what usually happens with your score is maybe you get like, 666, but then a 5 for your pronunciation that comes down to a 5.5, or it could be like a 5.666, a 5 for fluency, and then it comes down to a 5.5. But it could still be, you could get a 6, but just like a little faster, a little longer with your answers, and like more detail, and then you should be able to get up to a 6, even if you don't really fix the pronunciation problems. So let's take a look a little bit more specifically. Currently, you can say currently I'm a university student, or you can be more specific, I'm a senior and I just graduated. I just got my bachelor's degree a few days ago. I'm going to attend my graduation ceremony next. You have good vocab, good grammar. You can see like not too many mistakes, but it needs to be a little bit faster. That's all. Like with the other undergrad, graduating undergrads. Just a little bit more specific vocab could help. When I was a child, I wanted to become a successful engineer. Because you can say like a technology nerd. We don't really say that in English. Maybe you say that in Chinese, but you can say because, I'm really into tech. But like I'm a bit of a nerd, or I've always had a knack. So be careful, don't translate from Chinese, try to learn the English expressions. So I want to use, well, it's okay, I wanted to to make innovations, or you can just use the verb to innovate and create useful. This is where you can be more specific and create useful appliances for people, like new electronics, or improved household appliances like a new fridge, blender, or like robot vacuum cleaner. This is where you want to use more specific vocabulary. So longer answers with more specific vocabulary and a bit faster. So don't worry if you make a mistake, just keep talking, don't correct your mistake. And then you can definitely get band 6. If you can do that, just doing that, and then you'll be able to get up to band 6. Yes, you can see that, I suppose. So when I entered, you can say when I started university, I chose, mechanical engineering is the subject as my major, because I spoke in the past. I just spoke. You can say that because I always told myself during the time I was a kid, I would become an engineer. So again, like it's a little bit, you're kind of like a little bit repeating yourself. You can be a little bit more specific, right? So like the question is about like a person who sticks to their dreams, like my mom and dad encouraged me. I had teachers who have helped me. I also had and specifics, a lot of dedication, like long nights staying up, like studying, watching YouTube videos, mechanics, like specific detail, a little bit more specific detail. As I mentioned before, try to get your voice going up so it sounds more as I mentioned before, I'd like to, again, not I would like to, I'd like to become a mechanical engineer someday. I'd like to use my knowledge to create, valuable, careful the pronunciation, valuable advances.
Valuable.
Yeah, you can say like for the average person. And this is where you want to say, like for example, talk about like a new blender or new kind of car or like electric vehicle, a new kind of electric vehicle, whatever it is, but like more specific detail. And that's going to help your vocab score a lot. Yes, I'd say since I was in since I was a student, with past simple, I was a student primary school, primary school. I have studied hard. Use present perfect. I have studied hard, or you can say I have studied diligently if you want to use better vocabulary. And hard to get better and better grades. And again, like in physics, math, important subjects, or engineer. Yeah, and like my hope is to make a difference. So that is an ambitious goal. Or if you can use more phrasal verbs, so things like put in, make a difference. Those are really natural. So the more of those phrasal verbs you can use, that's good. In part two, a little bit faster, again, a little bit longer. When it comes to the person who has inspired me, again, present perfect grammar. I like to talk about my grandpa. My grandpa is a retired engineer. And he majored in engineering is the subject. And because he's already retired, so he doesn't need to spend any time on his work anymore. But but he keeps learning, keeps trying to improve his professional knowledge. And like always, books, research. In my childhood, my grandfather helped me a lot with my studies, and also, inspired me to become a mechanical engineer, or encouraged me, which helped me set the target to become future. He inspired me. I think the reason I see him as an inspiration, or the reason why I look up to him, that he is the kind of person who sticks to his dreams and never gives up. Good grammar, good vocab. I need to impossible barrier or challenge. Think about what my grandma taught me. Good grammar there with past simple, good accurate grammar, just a little bit faster, a little bit more detail. Generally, so if they're not sure, you can also ask them to repeat it. Don't worry if you don't have like the right answer. You can say like, I'm not sure. So like one thing maybe is, if you say maybe, sometimes that can give you more confidence to say your ideas. Like not lying to others. Or being honest.
Because I forgot the reliable. I just forgot the word.
Okay, so you can use a different word if you can, like not lying to others whenever they can. You just want to start, and you want to try to give, again, like more specific examples if you can. Like I have a friend or my grandfather, something like that. Instead of just like general. People in China. The most famous examples maybe are teachers to set a good example for their students. But again, like if you can give a specific example, like a person, like a real person, someone who's like actually known. You can say, from what I've seen, noticed, seen, will always hope celebrities will set a good example for kids and young people. Yeah. Show respect to others. They should also make some donations. Yeah, to charity. But again, I asked you a question about like, can you think of a specific? The question was like, can you think of a specific example? Famous people trying to look up to. And then so try to think of like a real person, like there's a singer, or there's like a politician, or like there's an artist, there's like a filmmaker, whatever it is, like, but a specific person. It's hard to talk about something specific, but sometimes your answers in part 3 are like too general. Try to talk about a real person. You can say, oh, yesterday in the newspaper I saw, or I was reading online, or I saw on TikTok, or like whatever it is, but be more specific and more detailed, not just like general answers in part 3. Try to give specifics, and you can do it in part 1 too. Just like we were talking about, don't just say appliances, but say what are some of the actual appliances. So be more specific and be a little bit faster, and then you can get a 6. Okay? Do you have any questions? Yeah.
Because my test is on tomorrow afternoon, so I'm not sure what I should do this evening, because previously I thought I need to prepare the topic.
So if you don't have much time, so all you can do is like maybe just change your mindset a little bit, which is like I said, more detail and faster. Try to do those 2 things a little bit better, because you can't change your language. You shouldn't prepare for the topics. You can't prepare for the topics. What you should do is like, prepare your English and get better at English. Preparing for the topics won't help your score. So what you need to do is, so that's not important. But for you, because there's not much time, just try to talk a little bit faster and try to give a little bit more specific detail with your answers. Those are the only things you can do if you've only got like a day to study.
Because in the past 2 IELTS examination, I haven't prepared the topic. I just spoke freely.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, preparing the topic does not impact your score. If you prepare the topics, it doesn't help you or hurt you, right? Preparing your English improves your score, but preparing the topics doesn't help your score at all.
Because before my last examination, I got 6 in my every mock exam.
I mean, it's close. You can see how you're really close. You could get a 6, right? It's like 6, 6, 6, 5, and then maybe just barely drops down to a 5.5. So it's very close to a 6. That's why I told you just focus on those 2 things: more detail, faster. Those 2 things for tomorrow, and then I think you could get a 6. You have a better chance. But then there's long-term things to study, like over years, to improve your English higher and higher. But if it's just really quick, faster, more detail.
Because I'm just afraid that if I speak faster, it's easy for me to lose my mind.
Yes, I mean, a little bit faster, right? Like you're saying, maybe it's hard for you to think of the vocabulary words and think of the grammar. You don't want to hurt that. I mean, that's just a problem with English, right? The more you study English, and then you can talk faster and use more vocab. So obviously you can't talk like really quickly, but a little bit, just like 5, even just 5 or 10% faster, a little bit more is okay. Not a lot faster, a little bit.